Welcome in. I'm your host, Andrea. Welcome, James and Clarita from Mrs. to Ms. Thank you for joining me.
Oh,
Oh,
thank you for having
thanks. Oh,
us.
it's great to be here.
You too, absolutely. So, just to tell you guys a little bit about my wonderful guests today, Claire and James, they are founders and CEOs of the Midlife Mentors. So, they are the dynamic husband and wife team behind the award winning wellness company 38 Degrees North and the popular coaching business, the Midlife Mentors. I really like that name. Good name. With their top 1.5% global podcast, the Midlife Mentors, they empower midlifers to achieve the body, mind, and lifestyle they deserve without sacrificing the joys of life. Leveraging expertise in psychology, coaching, hormones, and nutrition, Claire and James offer an authentic, science-based approach to health, ditching the fads for practical, sustainable change. They have been featured in the New York Times, the Telegraph, and Condé Nast Traveler. They also provide coaching and wellness programs for corporate teams and individuals. You guys are busy. Yeah.
Yes, we are.
I was just listening to that thinking, gosh, do we do all of that?
Yes, you do.
do.
Apparently you do. And you're doing it well to be in the top 1.5%
Thank
podcast.
you.
I know how hard it is to stay and sustain that in the podcast world, right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Not
Yeah,
easy.
thank you. It's been going for about 4.5 years. So I
Yeah.
think us just being I think it's
Amazing.
consistency, really consistent,
Yeah,
some guests and all that kind of stuff.
absolutely. I have heard that it is about consistency, and they've said a lot of podcasts don't even go past episode 8. So
Amazing.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying this is like getting up there in the 60s, 70s for me. So it's happening. It's happening. So let's start at the beginning, you guys. How did this all begin? What was your inspiration for starting the Midlife Mentors?
So we've actually been running we started out running wellness retreats back in 2011, 2012. And it was actually James's business, and I went to join him over in Ibiza in Spain. And
Okay.
we had kind of guests that were midlife, and they were kind of our main people that showed up for our retreats, and they were kind of coming to our retreats with really, really similar issues and challenges. And it wasn't just kind of the physical stuff that was changing for them at midlife, it was the psychological
Mm-hmm.
as well. And not really being able to understand what was going on with their hormones, what was going on maybe in their relationships. Maybe they were feeling that actually they weren't very fulfilled in life. So they weren't just coming to shift themselves physically, but also to get some understanding around what was going on for them internally as well. So that was a really
Mm.
common theme that we saw with midlifers. And actually, fast forward to 2019, someone said, you know what, guys, you should do a podcast. So early 2019, we decided to call it the Midlife Mentors. So it started with our podcast. And the reason we wanted to do that was because we wanted to give people kind of free information, our knowledge, our passion, our expertise on how to really live their midlife in kind of like thrive
Mm.
really at midlife and live in the best possible way physically, mentally, and emotionally. And that's actually how the Midlife Mentor started.
Amazing. Yeah. And I was going to ask that, like, why you were focusing on women and men over 40. That's kind of your niche, right? And you provide them with the tools to kind of reclaim their mind, their body, their soul, everything. And so I was going to ask why you were really focusing on that age group. And I mean, you answered it. There are so many questions going into that age, and a lot of us don't know what we're doing. I'm there in that stage. I'm like, am I in menopause? Am I not? I don't even know. I'm just kind of going with it. I'm thinking, okay, I don't sleep so well, but other than that, I think I'm pretty good. And so I think that's a lot of the confusion questions that people have is, how do I know when I'm in menopause? What do I do when I get there? How can I get through this and find new ways of life, new things to do? And that's a lot of what you talk about, it sounds like.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's why we're inspired. We just saw so many people being like, oh, it's beginning of the end. I've just got to accept, expanding waistline, like low libido, low energy levels, anxiety. We're like, no, it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
this way. There's so many things you can be doing from a lifestyle perspective to actually embrace
Yeah.
midlife and beyond and see it as a really positive transition.
Oh, I love that. So what would you say are really the essential components for a midlife health and happiness? What are the main things?
I think we need to be aware of how our bodies are changing. So the effect that our changing hormones
Mhm.
have for both men and women. And it is largely driven by our sex hormones. So estrogen for women and testosterone for
Mhm.
men. But there's a whole load of other hormones and neurotransmitters that are changing as well. So I think the physical is the first thing, right? Our body is the
Yeah.
only vehicle we've got. So let's look after it. So we want to make sure we're moving regularly. We want to make sure that we're moving in certain ways that help maintain our muscle mass, because that can
Mhm.
lower as we age. We want to maintain our bone density. We just want to make sure we're eating the right kind of things, not overloading with too much sugar, too many processed foods, all that kind of stuff. Then the bit
Mm.
that's really
All the good
overlooked,
stuff.
yeah, good stuff. Because I think people do focus on that kind of what I call the external, as long as I'm looking good, it's all right. But that's great. But we need
Yeah.
to focus on the mindset as well, because, our psychology does change with age, both due to the chemical
Mhm.
changes, but also due to our life experiences and the pressures and stresses we're under. So it's really important to do
Mm.
what we call the mindset work as well, to really move yourself to an optimistic, positive place. Be out there, having
Yeah.
new experiences, taking risks, having fun, getting engaged, rather than kind of retreating back into your shell or cocoon.
Yeah. So are those things the main core foundation for maintaining this healthy and happy life? Are those the main things you would say to do, or in what order would you even say those? Work on your mind first and then your body, or all in one?
Yeah, I mean, we have a very, very holistic, integrated approach. I think the reason we have had so much success with midlife clients is that it is an inside out approach. Actually, we say you can't just
Mm.
tackle one thing, and there's actually no particular order. It's almost like you need to be
Mhm.
looking at those individual parts. And we've got 6 pillars that make up the midlife health and happiness model, basically. And they are
Ooh,
hormones,
okay.
exercise, nutrition, success mindset, emotional resilience, which is actually kind of around spirituality, actually, because we
Okay.
lose our self identity and our sense of self, and our values change. So that taps into that. And kind of our
Mhm.
relationships with other people, our romantic relationships, our community. And then the final one is accountability, which again is like
Mm.
that connection, community, because especially men,
Yeah.
actually, as we age, we tend to isolate ourselves a little bit more, or we don't have those people around us that are like us,
Mhm.
that inspire us, that encourage us to move forward in our life. So it's about, it might sound like over, but it's about tapping into those and creating behavior change over time. We're not expecting people
Okay.
to make massive dents in all of those areas at the same time, but it's just those little bits that we do in our group program over time that really
Mhm.
starts to move the needle on all those areas.
Yeah, I want to make a really important point
Mm.
actually. So I think in modern society, culture, we look for that one big thing that's
Quick
going to change
fix.
everything for us. And so when we talk
Yep,
about our
we
approach,
do.
people are like, oh, that sounds like it's could be overwhelming, but actually no, it's actually making lots of small changes in multiple areas that are
Mhm.
really, it's easy for you to do, but their net effect
Yeah.
becomes huge.
Yeah. So I want to touch base on a few of those pillars that you mentioned. So for one that stands out to me is accountability. It's very underrated. And it's
Yes.
so important that you have someone that holds you accountable. And we tend to learn that, I think, the hard way. I can speak from myself on this, that, I started working out and getting in this good place, and I had a coach who's guiding me, and stay within your, a little bit within your calorie limit, make sure you're getting your protein, your steps in, all of those things. And then I think we get to a point where we're like, I'm good. I'm where, I'm where I want to be. I'm where I thought I could be. And I don't need that anymore.
Mhm.
And I can do this on my own. It's not as easy as you think,
No.
is it?
No, and
No.
it's so underrated. And I love that you've said that,
Yeah.
because we invest a lot of money ourselves in coaches.
Hmm.
We've had therapy together. Like, we really invest in our
Oh,
own
you walk
self.
the walk. Yeah.
Yeah, like our own self development,
Hmm.
because it's very, very easy to get stuck in your kind of like social network, your social connections.
Hmm.
And you've got to look at those people and go, okay, do they, are there those people in my sphere that really inspire me, that really push me forward, that make me want to step up and be the best version of myself? Some of those might do, some of those might not.
Hmm.
So actually getting ourselves in an environment where we put ourselves with people that kind of might have been through what we've been through and are slightly a few steps
Hmm.
ahead, there's so much power in that, so much power. So that's why
Yeah.
we do what we do, and it's also why we invest
Hmm.
a chunk of our money every month in making sure that we're in the right
Hmm.
networks.
Oh, I love that. So another one that I wanted to talk about was hormones that you talked about. Hormones, they're all over the place. What kinds of things do you talk about when you refer to hormones, and how can people kind of get those aligned better?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess the major thing at this stage of life is, for women, it's perimenopause and menopause. So we do a lot of education
Hmm.
piece around, what's going on there with your estrogen levels, your progesterone, how those are fluctuating as they decline, what the symptoms of
Hmm.
those might be, and how you can alleviate them. Again, like lifestyle things you can adapt that will help, optimize your hormone health.
Mm.
For men, it's really underreported that men go through something called the andropause. So this is our primary sex hormone is testosterone. And so where women have a very distinct period for perimenopause and menopause, and the symptoms are quite extreme for, it can feel like it goes on for a long time, but in the life cycle, it's a
Yeah.
relatively short space of time. For men, it's this gradual decline in testosterone. So by the time they're hitting their 50s, they could just start to be
Yeah.
noticing things like, losing muscle mass, putting on weight around the midsection, just a bit low energy, lower libido, things like that. So again, it's educating
Yeah.
both men and women as the physical effects and what they can do, but also important, I think, to open the conversation so that men can talk to other men about it, partners can talk to each other about
Hmm.
it. And you're kind of, we're aiming to like demystify it and make it an open conversation. So that's the main thing around hormones. Then, of course, there's all these other hormones that change as well, which people aren't as aware of. But things like, for example, we
Mm.
become more insulin resistant. So the effect of that is means we're less efficient at utilizing the food we eat for energy. So again, we're more likely to store that energy as fat. We have less of the hormone leptin, which is the I'm full hormone. So we're more likely to overeat. It's just knowing things like this. When you put the puzzle together, you can give people a complete picture and give them the lifestyle hacks that they can adapt that will work for them.
Yeah, I've just got to mention one that you
Yeah.
missed there, but it's cortisol. Like our stress hormone, cortisol. It's what we call a negative amplifier for all the other hormonal
Hmm.
changes that we're going through at midlife. So stress is really, again, it's one of those things that we go, oh yeah, yeah, I'm stressed. Don't worry about it, because we're so
Yeah.
used to this level of stress in our life that we've normalized it. But actually,
Hmm.
what we need to be doing is managing those stress levels so that we can naturally bring that cortisol down so it doesn't have such a negative effect on our menopause and our andropause.
Mm. And are these things that you suggest people just do on their own, or working with coaches? Or is there, I know there's so many things out there that you can get your hormones in line, right? That you can go to a doctor and have them kind of get with you on what things you can take to level out your hormones. Like, what do you suggest in that area? Is there anything particular you found that's really worked for a lot of people?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think the first thing is like giving people the awareness. It's kind of an education piece. Like this is what's going on with your hormones. This is the effect of them. You might be experiencing some of these things. I'd say the next stop should always be your health professional. And it's really simple
Hmm.
to get a hormone level check. We have to be really careful though, because a blood test will only show your hormone levels at that point in time. And as we know, the hormones are fluctuating. So you could go in, say, on a Monday morning, and they'll go, oh yeah, your estrogen's completely fine. But if you went in, 2 weeks later on a Tuesday evening, they'd be like, oh no, your estrogen's really low. So in an ideal world, we'd have like
Hmm.
a line of tests so we know what's going on. And then, of course, there are things we can do. So we focus mainly on the lifestyle part of things. So cleaning up diet has a massive effect, lowering sugar, lowering alcohol, things like that work. But then, of course, for women, there's hormone replacement therapy, HRT, which can be super
Hmm.
effective. For men, there's testosterone replacement therapy again. But I'd always say our approach is always address the lifestyle bits first, because these things aren't a magic pill on their own. The people that
Yeah.
we speak to, and they're like, well, I've gone on HRT, but I still feel really down. And I'm like, well, what's your lifestyle? Oh, well, I just get a takeaway 5 nights a week and I drink a bottle of wine every night.
Yeah.
And you're like, right, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Change that.
it's
Hmm.
always, I say, always focus
And
on
talk
things.
to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Focus on the things that are in your control first, that we have control over, because it's also a very empowering thing, right? To step forward and take responsibility and go, okay, I'm gonna take
Yeah.
charge of these things here. And then if we do need that medical assistance, it's there.
Yeah, absolutely. So when people maybe that are listening that are not quite yet in their menopause stage, even perimenopause, what kinds of things are they looking for to go, oh, this might be that coming on? Is there anything that's blatant? I know it's kind of like if you haven't had your
Yeah.
period for a certain amount of time, right? But some of
Yes.
us, I mean, I don't even get a period. I have an IUD. I don't even get a period. So what other things can we look at to kind of go, oh, I'm there?
Yeah, and it is so individualized, and this is why the thing like everyone talks about menopause, but actually perimenopause is the bit where it feels like you're going crazy. It can really feel like you're going crazy,
Oh,
or like you're really on your own. And am I just imagining this, or because actually
yeah.
we have estrogen receptors on lots of our organs in our body, so it can affect literally everything. So for me, a few years ago, I was having heart palpitations, my lungs, I'm in fitness, I was having issues with my lungs, I felt exhausted, I was having night sweats, I'd have a
Hmm.
glass of wine, I'd have anxiety like immediately the next morning. So I had loads of these different symptoms, and
Yeah.
that was very individual for me. But any women
Yeah.
can experience brain fog, weird symptoms. Like, I mean, there's 60 odd, I think, symptoms now. I need to check because they're kind of adding more all the time. But so
Yeah.
that's how many symptoms: itchy eyes, itchy skins,
Yeah.
tinnitus,
Woo!
vaginal dryness,
Hot
hot
flashes,
flashes,
night
UTIs,
sweats.
Mhm.
night sweats, like a whole
Yeah.
host of things. But even if you're just getting one of those things, you could be in perimenopause. So it really is
Interesting.
important to have this knowledge, talk about it, change the narrative, go and see your health professional. But I don't know
Mhm.
what it's like there in the US, but for us, we have GPs, general practitioners, right? So the
Mhm.
name says it
Mhm.
all. They don't have,
Yes.
because they're very stretched, very stressed. They don't have much time with you at all. They're not educated really in
Mhm.
menopause or certainly not andropause. So it's about
Yeah.
really investing your time in getting the knowledge yourself. And this is where all of
Mhm.
the stuff around the menopause that's been massive over here in the UK, it's really great
Mhm.
because more people are going in armed with information. But unfortunately, GPs will just be like, oh, you're a bit depressed. Here's some antidepressants.
Uh,
Or they
yeah.
don't even ask about your lifestyle factors. They don't even think, oh, that woman is, if her periods haven't stopped, then she's definitely not going through perimenopause. But it should,
Yeah.
it's very much about, it should be symptom based, and it is moving more like that. It should be symptom based, not just kind of the
Yeah.
physiological stuff, but and really understanding like how to support women going through the perimenopause, which can start from the age of 35, and women can be in perimenopause like 10 to 15 years. So it's really something we feel passionate about with women and men, but for the
Yeah.
andropause, but knowing more about and not feeling like they're on their own.
What is the switch from perimenopause to menopause? How do you know when you're all of a sudden in that next stage?
Well, it's actually classed as a period of time where you don't have a period for 12 months or more.
Okay.
And this is
So
why it is
that's
difficult
the
when,
clincher.
yeah,
Okay.
when you're on, and this is why you need to go to a health professional, because when you're on
Mhm.
birth control and things like that, it makes it a little bit more tricky.
Yeah.
But it's when you're not having a period for 12 months or more. And that's normally the average age in the UK is around 51 for that. And then
Okay.
you go into something called post-menopause, actually. So menopause is that time
It's
in that
never
year.
ending.
Yeah, and then you go into post-menopause.
Okay.
Crazy.
And you mentioned it is crazy. Like we don't have enough, right? As women. I mean,
Yeah,
we give
exactly.
birth,
It's
please.
relentless.
Right. So you mentioned, and I saw this on your website, I think it's called Andropause. Is that a
Mhm.
male version? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Somebody
so
said that
yeah.
the other day, and I'm like, I don't know if men get menopause too. So
Mm.
tell us about that for the men listeners.
Yeah, so this is the decline in testosterone due to age. So for men, our
Mm.
testosterone will peak in our 20s, and then it will decline 2 to 3% per year, which doesn't sound a lot. By the time we're in our 50s, the levels could be like 30 to 50% lower than they were in our 20s. So with low
Wow.
testosterone are going to come things like your muscle. You'll find it hard to maintain muscle mass. You start losing muscle. Your metabolism slows. You can have anxiety moving into depression. Unfortunately, that in the UK, I think it is the same in the US. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But the highest suicide cohort is midlife men. And there's an interesting research that shows most autopsies on male suicides show low testosterone levels. But also these things
Interesting.
obviously
Wow.
affect libido, all kinds of things, and
Brain
of course
fog.
they can have that can have like knock-on
Mm.
psychological effects as well. So yeah, it's something we're trying to raise definitely more awareness of, and that people are talking about testosterone and its importance for middle-aged men. So hopefully, yeah, it will become more known and more talked about.
Yeah, for sure. So on one of your Instagram posts, and I'm going to read this kind of quote that was on there that I really enjoyed reading. It said, "The only way to stay sane in this crazy world is to deliberately slow down and take back control of our attention. We've become slaves to mind-numbing dopamine hits, arguing with strangers online, and switching back and forth between online apps." We're hyperstimulated, and we need to be honest with ourselves about the negative impact that this is having on our mind, body, and soul. So talk to us more about that and what kinds of things we should be focusing on elsewhere, other than obviously the phone.
That was one of my moments where I was like, I've got to get this out there because there must be
A
other people.
rant. I love it.
It really came about because I put a post up on Facebook, I think it was, and someone just came back and was really rude to me on a post about their opinion. I was like, wow, I've really shifted my attention and my focus around social media. I've never been one of those people that just sit on a scroll hole and wait for someone to disagree with and then jump on it. If I don't like something, I just scroll past. And, I was always taught, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. So that's kind of where I came
Yes.
from. But the post came from that, really. And also my own experience, this is a personal experience. I had burnout at the beginning of last year. So I've really shifted, I suppose, my own understanding of where I've been placing my attention. And running your own business, an online business, really, essentially, I felt like I was
Yeah.
spending way too much time on social media, and the
Yeah.
damage that was having on my soul and my connection to myself and what was really important. And actually the burnout was the best thing that's ever happened to me because it forced me to take a step back. So it's been a number of months now of really evaluating where I'm placing my attention. And some of the things that we need to be looking at is definitely the online space. It's social media. It's,
Yeah.
are we checking the news all the time? We've got 24-hour news channels. We're always on our mobile phones. We're like I said, we're hyper stimulated. We're searching for the dopamine hits. And it's because we've lost that sense of identity of who we really are, the connection to ourself, our soul, our values. And we're constantly trying to almost like distract ourselves and escape what's going on for us inside. And so the only antidote to that really is to step back, slow down, purposely, consciously come off, wean ourselves off social media, the news channels, our mobile phone, like all of that, and see what happens.
Yeah.
Kind of what
I couldn't
unfolds.
agree with, I couldn't agree with you more. And I really think it is about limiting that time. It's really incredible to me to recognize at certain times where I feel this excitement to look at a post that I put up and see the likes. Like you're excited to go in and see how many people liked it. And in the big scheme of things, it's really ridiculous, that we put so much emphasis and so much attention on that. And we use that as something to feed us and feed our egos and feed, this many people are liking what I'm saying. And it becomes this continual effect of we just, they like that one. I better get another one up right away and see how that one does, and we go on this roller coaster ride of, I only got, a few likes on this one. What happened? And then
it's crazy, Andrea.
It's this vicious, it really is. It's this vicious circle, and I'm guilty of it as well. And so I think, many things, like you said, taking a step back, weaning yourself off, limiting yourself, maybe using the time in the morning rather than immediately jumping on your phone, but just do some meditation, some prayer, some moment, some time by yourself and connect with yourself, I think is where you're kind of going with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that validation piece that you just spoke about there, I do feel so passionate about this because it's what I was doing.
Hmm.
You know, I was using like
Yeah.
why was I trying to validate myself through
Hmm.
some weird metric of people that I don't even know, that I'm not therefore
Right.
present in my actual life. And so
Hmm.
it has changed my life, it's changed my marriage, it's changed my relationship with my
Mm.
family and my friends. Just getting some perspective around where I was focusing my attention and why.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you sharing that with us. It
Oh,
sounds
no
like you're in a really great place right now. So that's
problem.
amazing. So, so you talk a lot about the importance of course, implementing exercise and nutrition in our daily lives. So, what tips can you give the listeners for how to get started with the exercise and nutrition at midlife? I think that is one of the hardest things. Is especially I talk a lot about coming out of a divorce or a heartbreak, and in our midlife, it seems so much easier. It's still not, but it seems easier when we're younger, in our younger age, to just bounce right back and, oh, I still got my body and my look, all of this stuff. And so how how when we're in the midlife and we're struggling with ourselves, how we look, the extra weight around the stomach, whatever that might be, how do we fix that to get started?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think the first thing is have compassion with yourself, right? Just acknowledge that I'm starting on
Grace,
this journey,
yes.
and I'd say you don't set yourself too big a target. Like maybe just be like, if you're not exercising at all, just be every day. I'll just go out for a walk for 15 minutes.
Hmm.
Or that's the way I'll start. And as you
Yeah.
start to feel the results from that, start to take it up, start to investigate. Okay, what would be other ways I could do? Things like joining classes are really good because you've got that accountability, right? If
Hmm.
you say, I'm going to go to this class, especially if you go with a friend, right? Then you don't want to let the
Yeah.
friend down. You don't want to let the teacher of the class down. So that can be a really good way.
Yes.
You're being in community. It can be fun. Um, if we're going into like the evidence-backed ways, one thing we need to be aware of for both men and women is as we age, we're naturally losing muscle mass and losing bone density. So if we can be doing
Mhm.
some sort of resistance exercise, weight-bearing exercise, that will be really beneficial in terms of helping maintain our metabolism, how we look, maintaining our strength and our flexibility as we age. Because again, the stats,
Yeah.
the mortality, if we fall and we break something as we're older, our mortality risk shoots up exponentially. But if we're
Oof.
fitter, stronger and stuff, and we don't fall in the first place, we've got the balance to catch ourselves. And if we do fall, we don't break, then it's so much the better. And again, for the
Yeah.
nutrition side, I'd say you might be trying to change a lifetime of habits. So again, just be gentle with yourself. Like just think, oh,
Yeah.
what's a healthier choice I could make today, and then start to build it from there.
Yeah.
Um,
Real
it really
slow.
is.
Yeah.
The more you can change, the better. But go at the pace that's going to
Mhm.
work for you. So small changes can yield a big change over time.
And
Definitely.
celebrate those as
Yeah.
well. Like, be conscious and
Yes.
celebrate yourself. Like, at the end of every day, go, what did I do well today, rather than what I didn't do well?
Yeah.
Like, what did I actually do well today? Well, I was going to pick up, that donut, but instead I had, I don't know, some hummus and some carrot sticks or something. But like, actually just
Yeah.
being
Huge.
celebrating your wins is really, really important,
Yeah.
because we tend not to do that.
Oh, I agree. And it's so huge. I think also I love to think about the next day. Like, you make a mistake, you might eat that donut instead of the hummus and carrot sticks, but the next morning is a chance to start over and try again, right? So we tend to get so down on ourselves and beat ourselves up over it. And so you had an off day, just try again the next day. I love that about waking up every morning. It's like a do over,
Yeah, amazing.
right? Yeah, it's nice. So I'm going to kind of go back to the pillars just for one more. I think you mentioned like a mindset is one of
Mm.
your pillars. So why is the mindset considered a foundational pillar in your approach?
We both want to answer this one because it's actually
Yeah.
our background is like psychology. Before we started in kind of like health and fitness and hormones and all that kind of stuff,
Uh-huh.
both our backgrounds was psychology. So we've always had that real interest in human behavior and how we can shift. What's going on inside is, sorry, our
Hmm.
outside is a reflection of what's going on the inside. It's about our beliefs.
Hmm.
So our behaviors, our habits are really about what we believe about ourselves and the world. So a lot of people, James touched on this earlier, a lot of people just tackle the external stuff. But actually, all
Yeah.
that doing externally, if your beliefs about yourself aren't aligned to the goal that you're going after, your beliefs will always win out. They will always win out.
Mm.
And so that's so important, because people come to us with, and we all have it, so many stories about ourselves and about the world and our experience of the world, but actually it doesn't make them true. So we really kind of start, I suppose, challenging people to, and creating awareness on what kind of beliefs and stories they tell themselves are holding themselves back from the life they want to live and deserve to live. So our background is NLP, stress management, coaching, hypnotherapy. James
Mhm.
has a psychology degree. So really kind of looking at that is what creates the biggest shift. Because if you can tell a different story
Yeah.
and you can start shifting your beliefs, we can actually rewire the neurons in our brain. We actually can,
Mm.
we know that from science now. And therefore our
Yeah.
external reality will change for the better.
Right. Right. That's huge. Yeah. Totally just believing what you're saying, believing what you're putting out there, because you can
Yep.
say it all day long, right? You can say, oh, I'm beautiful, I'm this and that. But if you don't truly believe it
Yes.
inside, it doesn't matter. Right.
Yeah.
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 So, okay, you previously talked about ways to help slow down the aging process. So, is this truly possible? Tell us, how do we do this? How do we slow it down?
Well, again, it's individual results, but more and more research is showing as we live longer, we're understanding that for humans, it really is use it or lose it, whether it comes to mental faculties or physical. So we know that
Mhm.
aging is a process we can't avoid, but someone that's regularly resistance trained, done cardio training, is going to be in way better shape when they hit 80 than someone who's been completely
Yeah.
sedentary. So it's just common sense. They're going to have a better immune system, all the rest of it. But the same is also true for our mental faculties. A lot of research about this. Interestingly, they're showing that particularly weight training for some reason has a really positive effect on brain health. It lowers risks of Alzheimer's and dementia. They're not sure of what that link is.
Ooh.
But other things that lower it are continuing to stay. I'm going to sum it up as staying curious about the world, right? So I think this is something that, again,
Yeah.
as we age, we can lose that. But stay curious. If we decide we want to learn a new skill, learn a language, take up a new hobby, we just keep building these new neural pathways. And again, it helps our brain health and helps our mental faculties. So the secret to, I think, aging well is, honoring the body that we have by nourishing it well, moving it, looking after it, and also
Mhm.
doing that mental work, staying curious about the world, and that includes going out and getting
Yeah.
social connection as well. Because as
Yes.
Claire said, isolation is another massive indicator of increased mortality. So we want to be out there,
Mhm.
getting those in those social interactions, being curious about the world.
Yeah, for sure. And are you finding a lot today in today's world that people are as receptive to the coaching and helping with all of these different things that they're going through, the different stages in life? And are you finding more people are even self-sabotaging before they even get to you? Is that pretty
Yeah.
common? I feel like it
Yeah.
is.
We're laughing because actually, here's the thing. I think we're in a world where, like James said, everyone thinks, like, the social media world, the online space, is a quick
Yeah.
fix. And
Yeah.
so we are so passionate about what we do, but then you've got things like the weight loss jab. So that's
Mhm.
something people, we know now that there's a huge amount of people thinking, well, screw this. I don't have to
Yeah.
try. I can just get a weight loss jab. Bob's your uncle. I'm
Yep.
slim, and then my life's going to be suddenly better. Which we know, actually, I suppose all of us subconsciously know that that's not true. But
Mhm.
again, we've just been told that we can have whatever we want very quickly. We don't have to try for it. It doesn't have
Mhm.
to be that hard, and we can have, the quick fix. So
Mhm.
yes, I think it is. I suppose we do see that there are some people that are like us, and potentially I can see this in you as well, and the people we surround ourselves with. We want to live our very, very best life. You know, we
Yeah.
really value life. We want to hit our goals. We want to kind of take that last breath and go, oh my goodness, I really did it. I'm skidding out of this life. This is
Yeah.
amazing. But there are other people that don't necessarily, they just want it easy. And they don't want to do necessarily what it takes in order to live an extraordinary life. It takes discipline, it takes commitment. It takes surrounding yourself with the right people. It's not the easy route. There are hard things that we have to do, but then we get the fulfillment, and then we can thrive. So my roundabout answer to you is, we do, you know, we know the stats that obesity is on the rise, that, you know, mental health issues are on the rise, Alzheimer's is on. So I do think with all the interventions of the quick fixes, that doesn't help with people necessarily like us that are trying to do it in a holistic way, in a natural way, that has so much more longevity to it, that has so much more benefit for your soul. But you know, we're in a world now that, you know, let's have it now, let's have it quickly.
I couldn't agree more. And I feel that way so much. I feel like every post I'm seeing these days is about the Ozempic and the semaglutide and, you know, everything to just give you that quick fix. And I think people are also struggling so much. You know, I think about it all the time. You know, especially here in LA, it's very expensive to live here. And, you know, the food alone, all the stuff that is cheaper is the fast food, right? They're trying to get you in there to the McDonald's, the Jack in the Box, you know, everything that's cheap. And it's really hard to stay on that healthy track when you're not financially set to be going to these places that do provide the healthier food. Of course, you can, you know, cook at home. So yeah, I was just saying that I agree with that. It's just got to be so many obstacles and hurdles these days, especially with what you're trying to do, because people do want that quick fix. They want, you know, the cheap food, they want everything, but they want to have the whole healthy lifestyle and look good too, right? The mental.
I think it's about,
Tricky.
you know, the people that we do work with, which is amazing. Like, we always do a call with people before they come on our program, before they work with us. We always do a call with them. And actually, if they're our people, you can kind of tell very quickly whether a person is your person, right? You attract your vibe attracts your tribe. So you can very quickly tell if someone actually wants to put the work in and actually has that mindset of, I see the bigger picture. Like, I don't want to do the quick fix because I know it's not going to last. It's not sustainable. Like, I appreciate my body and I want to give it the best fighting chance. I don't want to be injecting it with things, or, you know, having a butt lift, or having, you know, insane amounts of surgery just to look a certain way.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And are you finding it's very similar between men and women? I'm assuming, James, you deal more with the men. Is that how do you kind of do that, split it up, or you do it together?
Men always want butt lifts, don't they?
It's a great question, actually, and I think one of the things is the research shows that women are much better than men at maintaining their social networks. They'll open up to their friends more, and they'll seek help if they need it. But men tend to like suffer in silence. They're like, "Oh, I don't want to appear in inverted commas weak." But I even talk to my guy friends about, you know, how I'm feeling. If something's off, they'll always leave it late to go to their, you know, their healthcare professional. So I think it's a bit of an uphill battle with men. Some men recognizing that they could really benefit from this kind of support and the environment to be able to open up and have the conversations and take the steps to make things better in their life.
Yeah, for sure. It is so true to really differentiate the difference with men and women in that aspect. I mean, like in sexual situations, I know with my girls, we're details. We're like telling everything about the whole night. We start from the beginning to the end. They're like, don't leave anything out. And then you can talk to the men who are talking to their guys and they're like, was it good? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, cool. And they're done. Right?
That's all you need to know.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Right. Do you want a beer?
Yeah. Move on. We're still telling our story hours later. And then he went up my neck. And, right? It's so good.
Hours later. And that 3 bottles in.
Yeah, I feel like they can't get the whole story if they don't know the whole story. They need to feel it, you know.
Yeah.
Well, this has been wonderful, and you guys just have so much wonderful information to share, and your coaching, it seems like just quite a dream. And so tell everybody where they can find you guys. Give us some of your social media handles, your website, anything you want them to know.
Okay, great. Thank you. You can find us at themidlifementors.com. So that's our website, all one
Okay.
word. On socials, we're at Midlife Mentors on Instagram, I think, or at the Midlife Mentors. And of course, listen out for the podcast,
Okay.
The Midlife Mentors, as well.
Yes, perfect. So before you go, I'd love to play a little game called From Mrs. to Ms. Would you rather? Okay, it's just 10 easy questions of would you rather do this or that. I'll try and split them up, so
Okay.
I'll direct them to each one. Okay, so let's go with Claire. Would you rather go on a series of adventurous dates with no strings attached, or explore a deep, soulful connection that brings out your wild side?
Second one. Deep soulful
Second one,
connection.
the connection.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Okay, James, would you rather get a flirty text that makes you blush or a surprise phone call that sweeps you off your feet?
Surprise phone call.
Oh, you know your
A lot of people are saying,
yeah, we know each other so well.
you had both said the same thing. I like that. Okay, Claire, would you rather take a spontaneous solo trip to rediscover yourself or sign up for a new class to learn something you've always wanted to try?
He knows already. The first one, a solo trip to rediscover myself.
Oh, have you done that? Have you gone
I do it
on
all the
trips by
time.
yourself?
I do it all the time.
Oh,
I took myself off a 9-day complete silent, didn't see anyone, didn't have any mobile phone or anything in Devon. Like I was completely off grid on my own for 9 days. It was amazing.
I think that's so good to just reset yourself. I
Yes.
love that. I have never done that. I'm a little fearful to be in a place, an unknown place by myself, but I just feel like I probably need to try it.
Do
See
it.
how that
do
goes.
it.
Do it. I know. Okay, James, this is a good one for you. Blindfolded surprises or playful role play?
Oh,
I know.
playful role play.
Yeah.
Oh, she already knows.
I know.
What did you say?
Playful
Oh.
role play.
Playful
Yeah.
role play. I feel like I should have said, Claire, what would James say?
Yes.
I should have twisted it. Okay, I like that. Okay, let's see. Claire, would you rather find someone who complements your current lifestyle or someone who inspires you to create a new one together?
Second one inspires me to create a new life together.
Yeah, that loves.
I do that.
Okay, James. I'm going to actually go back to Claire on this one. This is more of a Claire one.
Ooh.
Would you rather have the ability to read your partner's mind during sex or be able to control their sensations with just a touch?
Control their mind.
No, you can't
Oh,
control.
you want to control their mind?
Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah. She took both. You saw that?
That's my personality.
I think control your mind.
I want to control everything.
She's like, not only reading it.
No, I'd rather read his mind. That was a slip up, wasn't it?
It was.
Wow. She wants to read it and then control it. She's going to switch
control
it
it.
around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pretty much do that.
You're the first person. You're the first person ever in all of my episodes to say you wanted to read their mind. I love that. That's a really great connection between you two, though, because you're not afraid of what you're going to see. That's nice.
Yeah,
That's
no,
nice.
I'd love to read his. Well, actually, I don't know whether I'm thinking about it. I was thinking, maybe I wouldn't like to read your mind.
Okay, that's funny. Okay, let's see. Would you rather, who am I going to go with on this one? Oh, this one's kind of more of a Claire one again. Would you rather get a bold new look or refresh your wardrobe with sexy outfits?
Ooh.
A bold new look.
Bold new look, just a full do-over.
Yeah.
And then add in the sexy outfit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. We can go, James, on this one. Would you rather have the confidence to flirt like you did in your 20s or feel totally at ease in your own skin, just the way you are now?
Oh, the last one, because I'm there now. I was terrible at flirting.
Were you?
That's why I laughed. I didn't know him in his 20s, but I do know that he would never have been able to flirt well. It's just not in your DNA, is it? Bless
Sadly
you.
not.
It's a good job that you're so good looking and handsome, though.
Bless you.
That's right. That's right. Thank goodness for that. That's awesome. Okay, Claire, slow dancing in the living room or spontaneous dance moves in the kitchen?
Spontaneous dance moves in the kitchen.
That's fun, isn't it? Just
Yeah.
cooking something and just flirting around. I like that.
Yeah.
Last one, James, trying new positions or mastering the old ones?
Ooh. Well, I'm already a master, so I think trying some new ones.
I was hoping you might say master the old one. They're great questions. Really fun.
At least we're all on the same page there. God. That was fun. That was fun.
Really fun.
Thank you guys again for joining me. It's been just such a treat to
It's been
have you.
amazing.
Before
Thank
we
you.
go, wonderful. Anything you'd like to say to the audience that you can just let them know, just give them a little bit of advice to just get up there and go and give us something a little simple.
I would say just if you're feeling stuck at the moment, it's only temporary. You've got the power in you to change it. So look ahead.
Well said. Well said. Perfect.
Totally.
Perfect. Well, love you guys for coming on. I appreciate it. And we'll have all of your information in the show notes for the listeners. To the listeners out there, you can find me on any major streaming platform. You can email me with any questions, concerns, comments, suggestions, anything you just want to talk about, scenarios at info@FromMrs.to.Ms.net. Thank you guys again for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Hey, bye. Okay. I am going to end this. I'm not hitting leave studio. Okay.